Is this a space just for your own recording work, or is your plan to have other bands come through here? Can you talk about that a bit?
Well, it's mixed use in that way. It's going to be something that I use for my own work, as well as a facility for other people to come and record.
And the majority of your gear you brought over from the Blackberry Hill Studios in Oregon, is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. I had a studio in Oregon called Blackberry Hill, and I've sort of transplanted it here to Brooklyn, and so it's a lot of the same gear, different console, a couple extra bells and whistles.
For our audience, what we have a Toft Audio Designs. That's
right. It's a 32-channel Toft ATB. I had recorded in a lot of studios in Oregon in the Northwest, so I picked up a lot of knowledge that way. And so I began the project as a small studio, just really for personal use. Mm-hmm. And it sort of snowballed into something quite a lot larger.
As is evidenced by all this gear, which we're going to showcase a little bit later on. What's your typical road rig right now in terms of pickups and preamps for all of us at home who are always trying to get a better sound and acoustic guitar when we're on stage?
My rig has changed based on the degree of laziness that I'm currently,
I'll be happy to hear that.
But, I did a tour with Diana Krall for a summer.
That's right,
and which was interesting, and I was really I think the Avalon 737 had fairly recently come out. So I actually had two of those that I was using in the studio, and I said, I'm going to take these on the road because I got this sound guy who'll cart them around for me.
Sure.
and they sounded great. And I think her sound guys probably thought I was just ridiculous, but those sounded great. But obviously not very practical. What I have used over the last few years are the LR bags,
pickups, sure,
M1, and also the Preamp DI that goes along with the M1. Well, I can't remember the model of that.
It's also an LR Bags preamp.
Yeah. Okay.
Photography is actually in your genes. Your grandfather was a talented World War II photographer. So, what was your grandfather's impact on your overall creativity as an artist?
Photography has always had a big effect on me. I remember seeing some of his photos when I was younger, and seeing some photos, and I remember seeing we had a big World War II photo book in my house, and seeing the images coming back from World War II, from places in World War II, from Vietnam. These types of photographs just had a really heavy impact on me, and I don't think I realized that I really wanted to actually create those pictures myself until later in my life. But I was in Iraq for in 08 and in 09, and I was embedded with the military there. Just following them around, photographing the daily activities, and then I also spent 3 months at the beginning of this year living in South Africa, photographing Somali refugees living in the sort of settlements around Cape Town.
What are your go-to guitars these days for recording?
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about what your rig's like on stage, but what are you leaping for? What's the first thing you grab for these days when you're
Well, I mean,
recording?
For recording, it definitely depends on what the style of music is, of course. But I have an old it's a '57 Gibson jumbo, and it just it sounds like just a battleship. It's amazing.
Lots of low end.
Lots of low end, and it's got that. It's a little carved out in the upper mids, but that for strumming, and then for using a pick actually works really well, mixed in with the track. So I think that guitar is fantastic for that thing. For fingerstyle stuff, I have a 1956 D21 Martin D21 that just sounds like a bell and is incredibly responsive. But for the really sort of intricate fingerstyle work, I think my Loudon 025C is, to me, Loudon is kind of, not touchable. I mean, they make the best kind of guitar for that style.
Sure.
So,
are you pulling the Doolin out for for?
Oh, I love the
appearance?
dueling. Yeah, I mean, I would. Yeah, no, I'd love to. I've been actually composing a lot recently on the dueling. And you know, Mike Doolan's such an amazing creative luthier. I can't really say enough about him. And the double neck is a real, obviously it's a real specific thing that I use for very specific compositions, because it's two 6-string necks tuned exactly the same. For the tapping thing, you know, on a single neck, you know, you can run in sometimes to this thing where your fingers are all in one spot, and obviously, you know, the double neck really frees you up, and so much more happening harmonically too, that can be make a really interesting bed of sound.
For all of us recording geeks trying to get a Justin King sound at home, do you have a particular, you know, go-to set of mics and preamps that you like? I mean, we know different guitars obviously require a different setup, but can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, for fingerstyle, I mean, without necessarily, I can say what I use specifically is two Sheps mics, one at the you know, about where the neck meets the body, and then one around the bridge area, and then in the center, in front of the sound hole, I either use a U47 or use there's an Elam 251. But
and all these mics are. You have all these mics at your disposal, so when your new client base comes in,
that's right. No,
that'll be on your gear list.
That's right. No,
sure.
there's a great. I do have a great collection of mics for the studio. Thankfully, it's really great. But you know, generally speaking, you know, just a couple of small diaphragm condensers. They could be Octava,
okay,
and then a large diaphragm condenser in the center. And then, you know, I like to sort of pan them slightly, you know, and sort of get a nice sort of stereo image of the guitar, and then, you know, a little bit of compression, and that's it. I really try to just keep it pretty simple, and just try to get the most out of the sound of the guitar, of course, and then the preamps that are used.
And you've got a new album you're working on when you're not up to your armpits in sawdust and masonry board.
Yeah.
Can you give us a quick preview of one of the upcoming tracks, just to satisfy our taste buds before?
Sure, absolutely.
Great. Justin, thanks for your time today.
Yeah, absolutely.
From Brooklyn, New York, thank you for watching SonicScoop at www.sonicscoop.com. We're here with Justin King in DUMBO in his new studio.